What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Tonight, we have an urgent update for you, so stick around. We will be right back right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right. What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Tonight, we have a ton to go over in a short amount of time, so if you're new here, remember you can always go over to our website, marfooglenews.com. Now, when you go over there, you will see that it is very easy to navigate. It is all done by thumbnail. You'll look for "This Is It" deployed, and then once you click on that, you will get our full bibliography. Every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we show you here today will be over on the website. That way, you know exactly where your stories are coming from and our sources. Now, once you hit a yellow bar down at the bottom, you will notice that it says web-only content. That is the stuff that is too hot for TV, the stuff that is far and few between, the stuff that basically people are getting knocked off for, or far to one direction that we can't cover. Again, that is a whole nother show down there, so do not forget to check that out. We are completely independent. We don't have a multi-channel network. We have our audience that supports us. So again, make sure to go over and check out if there's anything over on that right side that you are already using, already need, or already about to do, and you can end up getting it through us. Those boxes on the right are our affiliate links. That means when you go through them, say your normal Amazon shopping, that way, we will get a small commission on what you were already going to buy. Sometimes you get a discount, and, of course, it helps our channel at the same time. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex. What is going on today, and how are you doing?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So real-life Atlantis costing $19 billion could be ready for residents in 8 years. It says a group of Japanese architects have their sights set on a gigantic underwater metropolis that could be the world's first real-life Atlantis. The ocean spiral city, designed by engineering firm Shimizu Corporation, looks a bit like the Eden Project attached to a helter-skelter of a turkey Twizzler. It says it would rely on the resources of the ocean to operate and sail slowly around the world 2.5 miles beneath the surface of the water. The spiral city could be a fix for climate change, as it will apparently create a renewable energy using ocean thermal energy conversion, which creates electricity from different levels of ocean temperature via a generator. Okay, so Dex, what do you think I think when I first saw this? What do you think I saw?
The first thing I thought of is I didn't want to be near the Tonga underwater volcano in this giant thing.
What do you think that I would think that this would be for? And that's it.
Oh,
like,
yeah. So the elites.
Yeah, and first thing I thought was, is this some sort of plan for after our planet is covered out of a biblical flood? Now, that might sound silly at first, but when you think about it, the now richest people in the world have come up with several ideas. They're working and spending all of their billions of dollars on rockets to get off Earth. essentially, even experts are saying that it looks like they are making an escape plan from Earth, like something is going to happen to Earth that's going to make it unlivable. And that may not be the great change. That may be something else. I have a lot of theories. Of course, I have followed the entire world do all of these weird asteroid missions, weird evacuation drills and simulations of asteroids hitting New York, FEMA, and of course, and their local, their entire freaking police force practicing these things. It's like, what the heck is actually going on? Now, could this be another option as far as staying on Earth, maybe staying underwater? Why are the Japanese doing this? Or is this the Japanese' way to do it since they don't have the best space program, or if any, right? So what is actually happening here? Again, this spiral, first unveiled in 2014, the ideas for this, the Ocean Spiral City was tipped to be ready for its first 5,000 residents by 2030. But there's sadly been a few updates on progress since. The architects behind the idea believe that we are underutilizing the Earth by only living on the land. They said that the ocean covers roughly 75% or 70% of the Earth's surface. Roughly 80% of that is deep sea. The deep sea holds major potential for ensuring proper cycles in the global biosphere. We have not yet taken advantage of that potential, however. It says we thought that we could utilize the limitless potential of the deep sea through a vertical connection of the atmosphere, ocean surface, deep sea, and sea floor. The city would have a dome-like base camp near the surface, then a spiral going all the way down to 4,000 meters beneath sea level, where it would extract resources from the deep sea and store and reuse carbon dioxide. The city would also have a deep-sea submarine port to supply electricity, water, and oxygen to its lower depths. So if you've ever seen the Kevin Costner film Waterworld, this might creep you out. And honestly, the movies that we have seen in the past, all of these sci-fi thrillers and science fiction, futuristic novels and things that we've read and been so fascinated by, it's almost like they're coming true. You know, I'm sure that some folks that have looked into the simulation theory, it's almost like they're laughing right now. It's like, how crazy could this get? How much like the science fiction movies can this real world get? Now, of course, when people make these kind of science fiction movies, it's because these ideas come out of what really could happen. And sometimes they're right. What do you think? Tell me in the comments below, or tell me in the live chat. Thank you. And thank you, mods, for watching. Remember, we don't talk badly about creators here. We don't talk about other people badly here, if they are a YouTube creator or otherwise, Twitch, DLive, whatever. Again, remember, that's a rule, and if you do, you will be muted. So don't take it personally. It's just a rule that you may not have known. Diane Moses, thank you. Appreciate your support. King's Child says, I love your jams about the Jesus. God bless. Normal isn't coming back. Jesus is. Yeah, I feel you there. Wes Romans 10913 says, I really enjoy the Shoutro channel. Just saying. Thank you. Well, thank you, Wes Romans. I appreciate that. Gen X Trucker, thank you for subscribing. Sybil Nitsch, thank you as well for super chatting. Thank you for your support. We need people like you to support, obviously, because we cover controversial stuff. Skate Knights, thank you for subscribing in East Tennessee Preparedness. Before we even started, hi, Adam and Dex. Been watching for 2+ years. Can I get a shout out? 10 subs away from 1,000. Appreciate y'all for the prepping community. Well, again, that is a huge accomplishment. East Tennessee, I don't believe we've actually done like a love mob or anything. So yes, of course, if you guys haven't, go check out East Tennessee Preparedness. That is a really important one because not only can you apply for monetization, that's a big deal because if you are not monetized, you are not going to get into that algorithm like monetized channels. That's my belief, and I've based that on actual data. So it's not all about the money. At 1,000 subscribers or even my size, the ad revenue is not like it's crazy. What it is, though, is getting in that algorithm and that reach. So make sure to go over to East Tennessee Preparedness. I believe 10 people could easily go over there. Amanda Evanson, thank you for pledging on Patreon 6 hours ago. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. That is very appreciated. And then we have mysterious aircraft spotted at Area 51 in unprecedented satellite image. A Delta-shaped tallness fighter-sized aircraft that looks nothing like we've seen before calls the secretive base home. Now, Dex, I believe this was something we actually didn't we show something that looked like this, but it was under a cover like a year ago?
It was from an aerial photography off at a distance. So this is the first time they've seen it with a satellite. And when you see how much they had to zoom, and then they had to enhance the zoom to see this. But that picture is an enhanced zoom of this particular area of the base where this special hangar had been being built, I think, for the last so many years.
What's weird to me is it looked like it's this is a really weird kind of is it a clear or see-through thing? Is it translucent? Is there bars? Is there just bars that spray it or something? Like, it looks like a C-ray. You know, do you guys agree? This kind of looks like a C-ray. Does it fly this way, or are these the wings, and does it take off like a propeller? Do you see what I'm saying? Obviously, it probably goes this way incredibly fast, but it looks like that's the wall and this is the opening. What if this was the front down here at the bottom, and those were the wings, and there was some sort of propulsion system in the middle that shoots out the back? I don't know. Some of the craft that people have been spotting do not look like traditional craft, and some would obviously think maybe this was a flub up, that this is some sort of, alien ship, or it's just the lighting and this is kind of a more normal jet. Why would they let this be seen? They know satellites are watching, or is that the point? Did they purposely show a snapshot of this so China and Russia could see it, or any of our enemies that are carefully and closely watching us? And then we have directed energy could explain unsolved Havana syndrome cases. Now, Havana syndrome is something we've covered before. We, in fact, covered the first case in Havana, Cuba, and it was where these politicians or people were basically feeling this real bad headache, and then all of a sudden they would feel nauseous, and they were feeling these things. And when one person got it, it wasn't a thing, but all of a sudden everybody was getting it, and it was like it was turning off and on, and everybody felt the same way. I believe when they first noticed, and I saw this in one of the documentaries that talked about some of it's a show that talks about the satellite images that people spy on and stuff, and they were talking about the Cuba thing. It was when 4 people at the same time went, "Ow!" And all of them realized it was like, all of the phone, just like if all of the phones had an alert, they all went off at the same time. Everybody going, "Ow!" and their temples hurt. So they realized, they were like, what the heck just happened? And if it was done with one person separate in a room, they probably would have never caught on to this. But it was because multiple people at the same time felt it, and they were all in a line. They were in chairs along the same side of the table. Then they thought that it may have came from a specific direction, and it was going through all of their heads. Now we're talking about, some sort of energy device, or some sort of microwave or something that scrambles or, cooks their brain, or I don't know what the heck this thing does. But again, it says an intelligence community panel of experts said that some cases could be explained by electromagnetic or ultrasonic energy. So now they're saying it's almost like a mini EMP. It says, and remember, we are electricity, our brains, every single thought is an electric signal. Our heart can be restarted with electricity, every beat. In fact, all of our touches, our senses, our nerves is all an electric signal. In fact, that's why some say that we can actually have the potential to talk to each other, because it's all waves. It's all electromagnetic things going on. It says the panel, which consists of medical experts and scientists, both inside and outside of the government, did not attempt to attribute the incidents to a specific device or operator. It instead examined causal mechanisms and found that the effects of the mysterious illness are, quote, genuine and compelling. According to an exclusive summary declassified this week and released Wednesday by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. It said it found that the psychological factors or mass hysteria on its own cannot account for the core characteristics of Havana syndrome, the inexplicable phenomenon first detected among U.S. diplomats serving in Havana, Cuba in 2016. In a joint statement, Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines and CIA Director William Burns said, quote, a subset of cases cannot be easily explained by known environmental or medical conditions and could be explained by certain external factors. Among the hundreds of cases of U.S. government and assessed in recent years, however, the majority have been explained by known phenomena, emphasizing that information gaps still exist. The executive summary states that the effects of anomalous health incidents, or AHIs, could be due to external stimuli. They added that the victims whose cases remain unsolved, many of whom have been diagnosed with traumatic brain injuries, experience symptoms that are likely to be caused by functional neurological disorder, and directed energy exposure could be a cause. It says, quote, pulsed electromagnetic energy, particularly in the radio frequency range, plausibly explains the core characteristics. So what they're saying is this could be a pulse of electromagnetic stuff that messes and scrambles your brain. According to the executive summary of the panel's findings, it says, quote, for all of the pathways, that electromagnetic energy could harm an individual. Sources exist that could generate the required stimulus, are concealable, and have moderate power requirements. So this thing wouldn't even take much power. They might have it in their pocket. They might have a button and aim it towards somebody and be able to scramble their brain. Or it could be in a small car, or it could be outside, on a freeway or something a block away. Ultrasonic waves are another plausible explanation, the summary added, but only in close access scenarios. So basically they're saying ultrasonic could have been an example of this, but if it is, that means somebody's got to be standing there or very, very close by. It says such energy could be generated through a portable device with a tight beam focused on an individual. It continued, the experts panel did independent testing in which researchers were exposed to high-power ultrasound beams and subsequently experienced some of the core characteristics. What's weird to me is they still don't know what this is, and they're just talking about all these mysterious things. It could be our own government.
Well, what's interesting is last month the CIA came out and said that they had no reason to think that there was any adversary doing this in a deliberate, targeted fashion against any American serving abroad. So why are they saying there's nothing? But then these people are coming out and saying, no, we found, evidence that it actually can exist. Now, they did leave a little subnote in the report from the three-letter agency, that said it was possible that a foreign government could be doing it, or a weapon could be used and be responsible for it. But it's kind of interesting when you say a government that our, three-letter agency is one of the ones trying to throw this one under the rug.
Well, again, it very well could be some sort of, as far as Cuba, though, too, you realize Putin, just a week ago, we reported Putin went and talked to the Cuban leader because they're working out some sort of plan because Cuba is close to the United States. I'm assuming he went over to him and he said, hey, we're going to need some of your land. We're going to do some stuff from Cuba, probably working out logistics of something. But either way, it's like it started there. I wonder who was involved. They also showed satellite photos of this weird facility that Cuba would not have the money for. And it was like this weird satellite dish with a whole facility. And this, again, was something that was only caught on satellite. And once they did, they accused Russia of putting it in the United States and possibly monitoring us or being able to point something at us from Cuba. I just wonder if something like that could be, bounce off a satellite and hit anybody in the world or something like that. What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comments below. Have you heard of anything like this in your ranks? And of course, we have a ton of military and retired military here. So again, if you know anybody that has had this happen, or let me know. Now they say the cases are in the hundreds to the thousands. So Mitch Martin, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. Tin Man WT8912, thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the Mafia. East Tennessee Preparedness, thanks, Adam. My kids wanted me to start a channel, and y'all got me over 1,000. Thank you so much. and at Rip Curl Readiness and the mods for dropping links. Hey, East Tennessee, congratulations on 1,000. That's a huge deal. I remember when I got my first 100, I was through the roof. And it just keeps going. You got to put a lot of work into it and never stop. Marf, what do you use to make your music? Bible Talk for Common People. I use an MPC-1, just a little simple beat thing. And then I also use a RC505 looper, but that's it. And then Diane Moses, I appreciate you. Thank you for your support. And then we have breaking: CNN President Jeff Zucker quits amid the Chris Cuomo fallout, admits to having affair with... Jeff Zucker says, I was wrong. Says quits as president of CNN for failing to disclose a relationship with senior executive Allison Golost, 49 years old, who he's worked with for more than 20 years. Dex, do you want to explain kind of what happened here? I know that Chris Cuomo got canned.
Yeah, so Chris got canned, right? And they said it was because of the relationship he had with his, or conflict of interest type relationship with his brother, the governor, and everything that was going down there. So is in the process of doing a lawsuit, and in doing so, he was asking for Zucker and Allison to hold their messages along with his messages as evidence and not destroy it, because his opinion was, I'm getting fired for the same thing you're doing, and you're having a relationship that's not disclosed. It's a conflict of interest too. And then what ended up happening was Katie Couric put in her tell-all book that Zucker had been having a relationship with Allison. So all of this stuff just sort of came out all at once, and then he just left. He said, okay, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that, and I quit.
Yeah, he was saving face or trying to dip out before he got a ton of coverage, which I'm sure he's already going to get.
Yeah, or this is just the cover story that they spin onto this for some other reason that we don't know why he's leaving, right? You never really know when it comes to these media organizations and what they say.
Yeah, or
because PR, public relations is a big deal for him and for the company and for everyone involved. So,
well, also maybe they don't want anybody looking into him. There's Operation Mockingbird, right? Where the media has played vital roles in the biggest scandals in history. So maybe if they end up looking into Jeff Zucker and into his private messages, maybe he just bows out. Hey, oh no, I'll leave. Don't worry about it. Don't look at my emails. Don't look at the ones from Dr. Just keep going. I'm going to get a job at McDonald's. Martez COG says, thanks, Marf and Dex. Keep warning the people. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Jesus loves you. By the way, COG means child of God. That's awesome. Thank you. And Martez COG, thank you for sticking around with us. I really do appreciate that. Over on DLive, Release the Quacken, T-Man Red Pill, Irish American Patriot, Karen from Columbus, and really, thank you so much for being here. Julie C528, it's nice to see you again. And Rufus, that was my dad's dog's name, and it was the most unique name I remember, and he named it after his best friend who had passed away. Rufus, what's going on? And then Angela, 1609, Brown Puppets, thank you so much. Brown Puppets. Thank you. All right, and then before we go to robots marched in on 2021 with record numbers, first I do want to remind you, if you have not already made yourself prepared for any kind of power outage, I would highly recommend going over and checking out Energy. This is essentially a modular solar generator and power bank that is unlike most anything that you've ever seen. It's amazing as far as their design and everything they have done with this. It is light, it is portable. Also, it can be expandable, so you can keep adding batteries if you want to extend the time that this does. Again, this can also have all sorts of modular things actually plugged in. So what they're putting in the middle is a third battery or a second battery. And then also you can actually have another device, so you can even add more solar panels in and plug in twice as many to charge it twice as fast. This is really awesome, and I'll tell you the real reason why I think solar generators are the way to go is because they're silent. Not to mention that they are broken down a whole lot less. You don't have to deal with a gas engine. Again, this is something that if depending on how you do it, even with very little sunlight, you could charge this thing up very quickly. Again, this is something that is extremely powerful tool for preppers. If you do not have one, then I'd highly recommend you do your research and look at what some of the biggest threats to the country is. And that's just speaking for the United States, but with the recent things that have gone on in Europe and in, of course, Australia, I would highly recommend you look at what has been going on, because that is a risk to you as well. Again, they're modular. You can have one battery or you can have 10. They're all set up so they can stack. You can even make a battery wall. This, again, is incredibly, incredibly powerful. Very, very awesome. That's the Flex 1500. It is powering my entire show. So all 2 power bars and all of my lights are being powered, plus my router. So even if we lose power here because we've had a storm and we've had a ton where I'm at, the show will still go on. Again, make sure to go check it out, marfooglenews.com/energy. Make sure to use the code Marfoogle. All right, and then Dex, let's talk about the robots marched on in 2021 with record orders by North American firms.
Yeah, and this is also interesting timing with job numbers and that had come out saying that a lot of employers had reduced 300,000 plus jobs. So, this is exactly what we're seeing, is that they've been spending enormously on robots. So the orders that they've put in throughout 2021 is obviously just growing, and it's going to continue to grow. I see no reason to think that it's ever going to slow down this automation, right? Anytime they can automate anything and reduce human labor, the business model is just going to, sort of demand it.
Why this matters is because they're replacing human jobs. They're replacing humans, period. And now with these record numbers coming in, it's very concerning. Companies are now choosing robots over humans. And even if they weren't trying to, people won't go back to work. So a lot of places are looking long term and saying, well, how can we not have these kind of shortages or outages or close downs again? So say if they were to do, they closed down because they couldn't find staff, you would think that maybe that company would actually look to see if they could replace, packers or stockers or warehouse people with robots. Now, with more companies than ever making them, it's highly accessible, especially with 3D technology or 3D printing technology. A lot of this stuff, a lot of small companies are actually producing parts for these, being able to fix them very much quicker. And that's not good for the workforce, especially when people realize that they do need to go back to work. And then we have John McAfee's body is stuck in a Spanish prison morgue as a fight rages over his legacy. This is so weird. It says the antivirus mogul's daughter and ex-wife waged a legal battle while Spanish judge's investigation has continued for months. So, Dex, are they saying that we don't even... Are they saying that both families... Yeah, but what if he's not gone? Maybe he has like a kill switch so they can't take him out or something. I don't know. Like, what if he's not actually goners so they can't give his body away? What if he's in witness protection or something? Isn't this kind of weird?
They're having trouble with the body double, so they need more time.
Yeah, right. They're like, the wife or the daughter will recognize him. I don't know. That's the first thing I thought. I'm like, why? So there's an issue giving the body back? Like, that's kind of weird. Why?
Well, I guess the wife and daughter are fighting over who gets it. So, and that's, I guess, obviously there's some sort of conflict between those two, right? Because I know John got married again, so I'm assuming this is not the daughter from that wife. Probably not, with his age and his time. So yeah.
Well,
I assume there's a conflict.
It's definitely interesting. Now, Dex, I'm going to have to step away on this article, so I'm going to ask you, can you cover I went to the store there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I ran to the store, has basically gotten closer to being able to have the proper fuel needed to create a nuclear bomb, or a boomer. So that's what the news is that's coming out, and they're saying that they're basically weeks away from having the power needed to create that. So I think this is part of the negotiation, so to speak, of what's been going on between the is country and the I country, and over the conflict that they have. Obviously is saying they should not have nuclear powers, and of course the I country's wanting it, as well as wants nothing to do with the is country and thinks they shouldn't even be there, right? So we've been watching this, what was sort of a tit for tat between those countries for the last pretty much forever, but we've seen a lot of it over the last several months, just little things here and there going back and forth. And we know that at some point, there's going to be a point at which the is country is not going to allow them to reach this state of having a nuclear device. So if they think that's happening, they've said that they will go in and strike. So that's a big deal. So I guess the point we've been saying is there's like 3 different fronts around the globe, 3 major fronts around the globe, one being Taiwan, the other being the Ukraine. And then we've always said there's this ME conflict between Iran to the store and the is country. And it seems like we're ramping up to almost the heightened level that's going to require active engagement from is, to the point of like sending in flight sorties and stuff like that they said they would do should that I country actually get and procure the devices they need to make a nuke, basically. So that's where we are, and they're getting closer. So basically the clock is ticking on this as to whether or not we're going to see the next steps from is against I. So tell us what you think. Do you think this is just Ganda coming out to create more? Do you think there's really a conflict brewing, like they're about to do something? Make sure you leave a comment down below.
Thank you.
About what's going on with these 2 countries.
Thank you, Dex. I appreciate that. We had somebody here, so I had to go real quick. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
U.S. troops will deploy to Eastern Europe in coming days. This is pretty big. Again, we have covered all of the different deployments. If you did not see the video that we put out on Marfoogle News, I highly recommend you do so. If you were watching last night, you saw that Bob called in, a former Marine. I was told that you can't say ex-Marine because they're still Marines. Again, and that started a debate if it is ex or not ex. I understand what they're saying by there's no such thing as ex-Marine. It's a former Marine, somebody who was a Marine. And who knows, some Marines, they were, they stay Marines for 30 years. But anyways, I respect that, and I will make sure to not say ex-Marine anymore. Again, I think that's actually reasonable. U.S. troops will deploy to Eastern Europe in the coming days. It says that President JB has approved the deployment of about 3,000 American troops to Eastern Europe in the coming days amid a standoff with Russia over Ukraine. It says 3 U.S. officials said ahead of the Pentagon announcement. The deployments are above and beyond the 8,500 troops the Pentagon put on alert last month to be ready to deploy Europe if needed. Together, the moves aim to reassure jittery NATO allies in the face of a Russian military buildup near Ukraine. It says a source familiar with the details said 1,700 would deploy from Fort Bragg in North Carolina to Poland and another 300 from the base to Germany. About 1,000 Germany-based troops would head to Romania. It says the Pentagon declined to comment but was expected to be brief reporters shortly. The U.S. troops notified the ready-to-deploy orders last week included additional brigade combat teams, logistic personnel, medical support, aviation support, and forces involved with intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance missions. Now, one thing I want people to think about it. So even if we go with NATO and we only have 3,000 soldiers, technically it would be Russia. If they take Ukraine and we're there as soldiers fighting Russia, that's a war with Russia. Whether you're there under NATO, you're still there fighting an American, pow-powing at a Russian and a Russian pow-powing at at American. Now, this is smaller. How many are actually going out? Well, I'll tell you. We, last night, were able to find that they were deploying massive cargo ships filled to the brim with tanks, supplies, ammunitions, all that. Is that all for 2,000 people? And that, or the 3,000 troops? Doesn't seem like it. Dex, what do you think as far as all of this and how we are deploying not only to Europe, but UK is also doing all of this?
We're all sending in troops, and we're sending them into the NATO countries, right? And then we always say, "Oh, don't worry, they're not going into Ukraine." But there's no reason for us to send them if they're not really there to help support or back up the Ukraine. So I think that's sort of a dumb statement, but I think it's sort of a correct political statement that has to be made. But keep in mind, these 3,000 are moving to the edge, to the border edge of our NATO countries, right? And we've already committed 8,500 troops. That was a little while back, so those are moving over, and those are probably going into NATO countries. So that's in addition to that. And then we also announced that we were going to backfill our traditional European forces that are stationed anywhere there. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of movement. This is a lot. These numbers may seem small, or they may seem big, depending on how you look at it. I mean, 3,000 people is a lot of people, right? It's not a lot compared to 100,000 as they report, or 200,000 as they report that are on the other side. But, thinking about it, there's really a lot more happening that's probably not being reported in these numbers.
Well, and that most 100% confirms the Fort Bragg. At first, it was a rumor. They wanted to be anonymous, the people that were telling us that Fort Bragg just put on ready to go. Now we're talking about over 10,000 troops, 10,000 people, 10,000. Think about it if you've ever been to a concert with, 1,000 people. That's a lot of troops. Now, of course, 100,000 is a gigantic number. And then after the 100,000 were on the border, Russia shipped in 250 trainfuls of soldiers. They have deployed over 150 these giant Navy ships. Not only that, we have carrier strike groups. The stuff that you see in the movies, the stuff that you see in the Navy commercials, those huge, 25 ships by 25 ships squares, you see those pictures. That is what is out there right now. People are not, and how many people do you know have been talking about like, oh, we're going to war with Russia? Very, very few people actually are paying attention to this. I prefer to be covering this. I know that there's a lot of other things. Again, we have covered everything as far as, in fact, our website has covered absolutely everything. But as far as what we believe right now is that most Americans and most people in the world are completely in the dark, that they're doing something massive right now. And it might be scandalous. They might all be working together. They might all be going to each other's houses and be like, hey, JB, hey, Xi, hey, Putin, this is going to be great. We're going to take this population down by a good million or so. But it's still happening. They're still deploying all over the world. They're moving military like we've never seen before. I mean, in our generation. This is unlike any drill. This is actual stuff going on. We need a miracle. James Fox, thank you for the support. U.S. debt ticked over $30 trillion yesterday. Good luck, everybody, says Craig Alicious. $30 trillion in debt. Yeah, and you don't think that something's about to reset? Billy Leather says, love this show. My main source for news. If we get hit with an EMP, that will affect our health besides taking out our satellites and power. Oh, will it affect our health? No, I don't believe an EMP would affect our health. That's a good question.
Well, indirectly it will.
Yes, it will, because we won't have water. We won't have potable drinking water. We don't have all sorts of things that we don't realize are tied to power and to, GPS and all of this other stuff that is running. Our infrastructure is now connected to it. But by the way, that is a good question, because we just covered how the Havana syndrome may be electromagnetic. But that is very, very focused, and that's a tight beam. It also could be ultrasonic, which an EMP is not.
Yeah, I would think, Adam, the what they call non-nuclear EMPs, which are very focused. They're a new type of technology. We don't know what could happen with those because they're really at a lower level, right? But they are also non-nuke, so they're supposed to not be harmful. But the traditional ones, the big ones that are up high, they're way up in above in the atmosphere, where you're not necessarily going to receive anything directly on it as much. Maybe in the middle of the country if that's where it goes off, but they're pretty high.
Yeah, they're way up in the atmosphere. Now it says that RAF scrambled to intercept Russian nuclear jets as Boris savaged over Putin threats. It says the British Typhoons were scrambled from Lossiemouth, Scotland, and Coningsby, Lincolnshire, on Friday. They were accompanied by a refueling jet from Bryce Norton, Oxfordshire, in response to 2 Russian boomers. And I say boomers on purpose. It says, according to the Ministry of Defense, 2 Russian Tu-160 White Swan bombers entered the UK area of interest on Friday. In a statement, the MOD said, quick reaction alert Typhoon fighters based at RAF Lossiemouth and Coningsby were scrambled today against unidentified aircraft approaching the UK area of interest. Subsequently, we intercepted and escorted 2 Russian Tu-160 Blackjack long-range strategic bomber aircraft. It says the Russian boomers did not enter UK airspace and no further details were given. Now, these are, I believe this is an image of the TU. So these can drop nukes. And the one thing here that is pretty alarming is that this looks like it was a practice run. Now, Russian planes coming into or close by countries is not, it's not something that, is super unusual, but for them it's a little bit more so. Wouldn't you say, Dex? Like we've covered.
Well, yeah, and it depends on the location too. Like we cover, like you said, we cover them all the time in the past near Alaska, because that's just one of the routes they would fly all the time, right? So it wasn't that uncommon. We would cover it, but it wasn't that uncommon to hear. But the thing is, with the tensions the way they are right now, and flying so close to England or Scotland, wherever it was, I think it was just north of Scotland where this was, that's it's the situation that's going on in the world that causes this to be more alarming, because they've got to have guards up, and they've had them up. They always have them up, right? But you think tensions are even higher now.
Most definitely. And now it says that MIL radar data said that the Russian warplanes approached Dutch airspace before being intercepted by the RAF and were seen heading north into international airspace over the North Sea at about 12:45 p.m. So on top of the announcements, on top of the deployments, now UK is having these very specialized bombers doing basically a practice run. In the event of a conflict, they would go in and try to nuke them, I would assume. Not saying that in the case of nuclear conflict, they would use those to go in. I'm sure they would probably have some sort of conventional conflict first, right? LSR says, Jesus said, if anyone desires to come after me, let them deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me, Luke 9:23. James Fox, thank you for your support. I appreciate that. Theta Moonme says, Marf, I will always watch you. Dex and mods are great. I think only think your delivery can improve in the sense noobs think you're fear-mongering will versus likely, inevitable versus probable. I kind of have to think of that. So noobs, so newbie people think you're fear-mongering will versus likely, inevitable versus probable.
He's suggesting alternate words.
Oh, I guess. But they will. I mean, it will happen. So fear-mongering is when, I believe my definition is when you are creating fear with a motive. So you have a motive for people to be doing something, or you're trying to control people through fear, or, needlessly talking about it. This is what I believe. Here's the other thing. Is people are voluntarily watching me. So I don't understand that part. because if people are searching me out, because I'm most definitely not on trending, and you have to come to me to get this information, how in the world would I be trying to control you through fear when you are looking me out and you are searching out this information? As far as what is happening, I don't think it's probable. I think it is inevitable. I think it is going to happen, and I think it will happen. So, I mean, noobs can think what they want. I hope that the chat defends me and say it's not fear-mongering. It is his opinion, which we're all free to. I actually like it. I don't care if people, and honestly, if people are afraid, then that's one thing, but maybe some people do need to be fearful. Maybe some people need to have the fire held to their feet. I hardly see anybody going out there and grabbing supplies or doing anything because you tell them it might happen. And they'll wait until last minute. I don't think people should be surprised that we're going to war. We've been saying it for years because we've seen the patterns and we knew it was leading up to the final point. And even if it took 2 more years to happen, or 5 more years, or 10 more years, we are going to go to war. And it's very simple to see like what they are doing to prepare for it. If you look at China building 300 nuclear silos and the government checking in on it and going, oh my gosh, how did they make so many? Why are they making them so fast? Them in 1 year taking from like the 3rd spot to the number 1 spot, largest navy in the world. And you think that they're all doing it for fun? I don't. I think we should be real with people and not hold their hand and say, hey, there's a chance it will happen. It's going to happen. The entire world is spending money for it to happen, and it is going to happen. That's my opinion. Otherwise, I also back up everything so they know. Seraphina, thank you, says, and then Mystery School, thank you. Pull back from Ukraine if you're not going to invade, Blinken tells Russia. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken told his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov in a call on Tuesday that now would be the time to pull back Russian troops from the border with Ukraine if Moscow is not intending to invade. It says in a phone call that lasted about 30 minutes, Blinken and Lavrov held a professional and fairly candid conversation in English. The official said, but added that there was no breakthrough or agreement, that Washington had not seen any signs of the ground of potential de-escalation. It says we continue to hear those assurances from Russia is not planning to invade, but certainly every action we see says otherwise. With the continued buildup of troops, heavy weapons moving to the border, the official said. If President Putin truly does not intend war or regime change, the secretary told Foreign Minister Lavrov, then is the time to pull back troops and heavy weaponry and engage in a serious discussion that can enhance collective European security. Russia has amassed more than 100,000 troops near Ukraine's borders, while denying plans to invade. An action that the United States and allies have warned would trigger tough sanctions. Again, sanctions. They're not going to go in there and kick their butts. They're going to sanction them. Yeah. Pretty clear. Speaking of EMP, questions about EMP and what they were doing. If you have not checked out EMP Shield, I would highly recommend it. Again, if this is one of the biggest threats, it is quite clear. It's a pretty simple choice. If you have a car in the years where an EMP will knock it out, it would highly be smart for you to actually fix that. There is an actual solution to stop engines from stopping because of an EMP. Again, there's an EMP shield that works for your car. There is an EMP shield designed for generators, designed for solar system. There's an EMP shield designed for RVs, motorcycles, your home. Again, why don't we all have this? I don't understand it. And you probably don't either. Why isn't this built into houses from the get-go? I have no idea. But what I do know is that the government and, of course, the military, they do know, and they are preparing, and they are helping themselves to protection from not only, of course, devices like this, but other things that they are doing. Now, EMP Shield has not only worked with DHS, Department of Homeland Security, DOD, and, of course, now they are on the DEMSO team, but they are also dealing with civilians as well. So if you want to get yourself protected against all 3 phases of an EMP and protect yourself against solar flares, a Carrington-level event, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com and check out what they have. These, again, are an actual solution. The car model is their most highest selling. That, again, is easy to put in yourself. You can put it in about 10 minutes. Even our mod, Bones, even has a video of him putting in his. Again, it doesn't take long. Check it out. marfooglenews.com/EMP. Not only will you get $50 off per device, but you'll also be helping our channel. Again, our discount stacks on top of any other sale they're doing, so keep your eye out. marfooglenews.com/EMP. And then, let's see here. President B offers Russia access to NATO bases to ease Ukraine crisis. Dex, do you want to cover this?
Well, yeah. So apparently it came out that he had floated an offer to Putin saying, hey, we'll let you come look at our bases, our NATO bases, to make sure that we don't have anything that you wouldn't like to see there, like, Tomahawks or something like that. So long as you give us the same right to look at your bases and the NATO countries agree to let you in. It's kind of an interesting statement. I just can't imagine that we would actually want to allow Russians to come into our NATO bases, whether they're to protect against Russia. So it seems a little odd that this is what the offer would have been. I don't know that it's actually gone anywhere, but that's what they're reporting.
Basically, they're trying to make sure that we don't have. He was offering this, and it says that the proposal would also involve discussions about Russia verifying that the U.S. has not deployed Tomahawk cruise missiles to bases in Romania and Poland. They're basically like saying he's saying like, hey, don't worry, yeah, like if you don't trust us, then come on over, just come check it out. We don't have any secret trapdoors with Tomahawk missiles in them. Come on over. You can have your experts look at it. But don't go over to that false wall. Ooh, whoops. Did you? Oh, he pulled the wrong book. Oh, the Tomahawks are showing. Kenny Cans says, I am an independent artist and I've been watching for about 3 years. Can you shout out my channel? Kenny Cams. Cams with a Z. KKMZ. Kenny Cams. Kelly Schumann. T-Man put us into bankruptcy before he left office. Look it up. So Dex, I don't know if we can verify that or disclaim that, but so I thought we were in.
I think every president you could say that for every president, because it's not like we ever fix our budget and fix our deficit, right? Nobody has for a very long time. So that statement can work for everyone.
Yeah, because Obama was trillions in the hole when he left, and then same with Bush. But again, what they do. I'm not
saying that to defend him. I'm just saying, it kind of goes with everybody. It's like saying all presidents can, be killers. Well, they technically are, right? Because they order a lot of different things that happen, whether it's covert or public,
But I wonder if she's saying, she read a blurb saying it was an actual bankruptcy. Can the country declare bankruptcy, or, because I believe. When they say the government shutdowns and things like this, what they do is they just keep raising the ceiling. And if you look at history, they've done it so many different times, they just keep doing it. And then they keep the cycle going. In general, they knew 30 years ago that this is a system that's based, they knew however long ago. We're talking decades, if not hundreds of years. This system is based on debt. It's literally based on debt. We're printing money out on debt. It's from the second a dollar is printed, where's that from? It's a pretty insane system, if you ask me.
And they trickle it down to everybody. Think about your standard, get your house, buy your house, go in debt, pay for your house 4 times over by the time you're done paying for it, right?
Exactly.
It's, again, the bankers are the ones that win.
Absolutely. Interest. Do you want to go over some of the other stuff here?
Yeah, wow. There's a lot. So head over to marfooglenews.com and click on the thumbnail for the show and scroll down to web-only content. You'll get the rest of the story. Apparently, the GoFundMe account for the truckers has now been seized yet again. So it was seized one time and then it was released, and now it's been taken back again. There's more things about Zucker, especially coming from T-Man. You can read about that. Some political stuff going on. There's even some stuff on things in my state, in Georgia, with the machines, so to speak. And obviously, there was also the stuff about Whoopi that's gone again, taken yet another step. So you can read more about that, as well as George S., who has been in the news recently. It's kind of interesting what's happening there. So head over to marfooglenews.com, click on a thumbnail for the show, scroll down to web-only content. You'll find the rest of the story, things that may be too far to one side, opinionated, too hot for TV. We can't really cover here. And if you're on YouTube, just open the description. It's the first link. It's called Show Notes. And all of our other links are right there, too, if you're on YouTube.
This whole Whoopi thing is just... I'm sorry. It's just... Yeah.
Barked up the wrong tree.
Yeah, it says that she falsely declared on the daytime program show that the Holocaust was not about this.
Yeah, be careful.
She is an idiot. And I'm sorry to say. Like, what were you thinking? All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you. Please, again, make sure to go over and subscribe to Marfoogle Jams if you have not already. Thank you on D-Live, everybody that supported. We have Surplus Prepper dropping like 10 diamonds. Thank you so much. Angela1609, Chewy Weather, Lead Dispenser, and others. Thank you so much, everybody that popped in. All right, and then it is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's a shoutro.
I'm only on my knees for the one and only king. I'm only on my knees for the one and only king. Oh, then I'm telling my story. Then I got down and I told him I'm sorry. Walking with the Lord and I'm telling my story. Then I got down and I told him I'm sorry. Walking with the Lord and I'm telling my story. Then I got down and I told him I'm sorry. Walking with the Lord and I'm telling my story. Then I got down and only king. I'm only on my knees.
Thank you, everybody that has stopped in tonight. Bible Talk for Common People. Kenny Cans, Kelly Schumann. Everybody demands, everybody is a human, and bringing it down to survival, living on fear, not a chance. And you present information with the documents, and that sounds fact. Not that fear, margarine, and the Fuggle fan. 100% keep rocking, brother, and the Seraphina. Everybody, hello, another. Gina Marie and Nicole Hill. I got the YouTube laser beam, oh, it's real. Live now, and I bring it right up back around. Millions of prepper things I'm more for all you do is and now. I'm gonna catch a replay in the AM, but please keep my wife in your prayers. Got some ball unfortunate news, y'all. Love you all out now, Don Ball. Hey, LSR, y'all.
Walking with the Lord and I'm telling my story. Then I got down and I told him I'm sorry. Walking with the Lord and I'm telling my story. Then I got down and I told him I'm sorry. Walking with the Lord and I'm telling my story. Then I got down and I told him I'm sorry.
Knowledge of power inherited from God. Your thoughts are things, thoughts are wrong. Collective consciousness in the direct experience. And the factors everybody knows that they're the moon with me. MMFZ. EMAVZ, thank you so much for your support, massive support. Let's get an EMAVZ, EMEVZ.